What's going on, guys? This is Qazi. Welcome back to another epic tutorial, and it's been a while since I did a talking head, so I'm stoked to be back, have my little cool setup, shooting on a nicer camera. So it's happening. This tutorial is going to be a lot of fun because we're taking three completely different movies. I'm going to be showing you how to create a fire scene from 1917 by Deakins. I'm going to also be showing you how to create a fire scene from Skyfall, which is also shot by Roger Deakins. And then we're going to look at John Wick 1, a fire scene from that movie. So we're going to be creating those three distinct looks, and we're going to do it from scratch. So get pumped about that. And we recently did a survey. Majority of you, regardless of the skill set, are struggling with shot matching, skin tones, balancing, and working with 8-bit footage. So I created a 1-hour-long free training that covers all of that. Plus, we'll wrap up the training with an extensive Q&A, and you'll also get a link to download the practice footage, power grades, and some of my personal LUTs. So anybody that is wondering about the logic behind certain nodes that I use throughout the tutorial, you must check out the free training, okay? Link is down below. And on that note, if you're enjoying the content, do me a favor, pause the video, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel for more awesomeness, follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. Let's roll the intro. All right, so now we're inside Resolve. This clip is from Alexa. And we're going to start from scratch. Okay, so you guys already know the objective. We're going to be creating three different looks from the same shot. So first look is going to be from Skyfall. Okay, come on, cooperate. There we go. So the first look is going to be from Skyfall. The second look we're going to create is going to be from John Wick. And then the last look is going to be from 1917. Completely different looks. I mean, just look at the scopes. Let's just take a second to read it, right? This one is a little bit on that yellowish green side, mostly yellow, but a little bit of hint of green. And there's a lot of color, but when you look at it, kind of looks desaturated, especially compared to the other ones. And then if I go up and we look at Skyfall, this is sort of like what you would think or picture of like the fire, right? It would be like that red, and then right around where the flames are coming from, it's like glowy yellow, if you will. And we get to see that in our colorized waveform, in our parade. And obviously this is shot by Deakins. So, you know, it's very gentle. It's super gentle, right? Like, I mean, look at the roll-offs and everything. And then finally, we have this John Wick, which is just sort of like, almost like a mix of like VFX, and you know, you can kind of tell too just by looking at it. It's like super extreme, right? And the vignette is out of control, like boom. So the looks that we're going to be creating, we're going to be focusing on the color palette, then like creating, you know, vignettes and things like that. That's not what I'm focusing on. I'm just going to be focusing on showing you how I would approach attacking the color palette for each look. Now, one of the things about all of these movies is that I'm pretty positive most of them are using Kodak 2383 as a film print. So I'm going to be using that as my base, okay? Don't quote me on it. Maybe one of the three movies is not using 2383, but I just have that feeling based on my experience, and that's going to help us get there even sooner. So let's start with Skyfall. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come out to our shot. This is our shot, okay? And pretty cool. Like super, super cool. So I'm going to park it right here just for the sake of like the actual color palette. And then obviously we're going to run it through the entire shot to make sure everything latches on, looks good. First node, I'm going to leave it for grain. Second node is where all the, you know, magic is going to happen. The look is going to come from. And then we're going to create two more nodes, and I'm going to grab these and put them here. So this one is going to be my color space transform. We already know it's from Alexa, so let's just select the right parameters, Rec 709, and then here I'm going to do Cineon. Why Cineon Film Log? Because I'm going to be using a LUT. And as I mentioned, if you want to learn more about my proper node tree structure and why I do what I do when I'm dropping a film print emulation or wide noise reduction or grain goes up top, upstream. If you want to learn about those things, then I highly recommend checking out the free training, because I get those questions all the time on my videos. And I mention it always that, guys, watch the free training if you want to deep dive and learn about my node tree structure, okay? So right here, I'm going to go under film looks. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select the warmer version of that LUT, okay? So this is the cooler version. This is the warmest version. This is neutral. So I'm going to go and select that version. And when we do that, it already looks pretty good. So if I go here and here between these two, you can already see even the colors, right? Looking pretty close. Not there yet. Why? Because look at this, right? Like, so look at how nice the flames are where everything is sitting. Whereas here, it's just sort of like, feels like it's just the flames are clipped out. So I'm going to go under my gain for that to fix that problem. I'm going to take my gain, I'm going to pull it down to somewhere around 75-ish, let's just say. Okay. And all of a sudden the flames look really, really nice. Like, once again, look at this, look at that. Looks pretty nice. Now I'm going to take my gamma, I'm going to lift it up a little bit. I'm going to kind of go far and then see where I like it. Even something like that, not bad, right? Because if I go here, go before and after, you can see like even the fall offs are pretty natural, right? Like the changes that I made, and it just looks so much better, right? So now what I want to do is I want to go under my split screen mode and I want to select selected images so we can really put these next to each other and see what's happening and how close we are. And I'm going to hide my effects. And if we look at the two, we're pretty much there. I mean, look at the reds, right? Like in this area, look at the flames. So when you attack, and even look at our exposure and everything values, right? Like pretty close. And that's the beauty of it, guys. Like if you just go in with your experience and having the knowledge, like what you need to use to like really nail in certain things, it's just going to happen. Like look at even our vector scopes. I mean, obviously the intensity of the flame is a little different, so that's what's creating a little bit of a shift, but I don't mind it. At the end of the day, it's not about pixel peeping like and going frame by frame. It's more about capturing the vibe. So if I go between these two, I think we captured it. I think it happened, right? I'm very, very happy with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that, and this will be our Skyfall version, okay? So that is Skyfall. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that this is pretty much our grade. Like we can just now use it as a power grade and apply it in the future. One thing that I want to do before I even move forward is go under grain, drop that on. And I don't want to go too heavy. So what I'm going to do is just 35mm 400T. And that's subtle. I'm going to get really close and hopefully you guys will be able to see it on YouTube. Before, after, before, after. And I'm doing it slower because that's one of the feedbacks that I get from you guys, that my before and afters are really quick. So hopefully this helps you guys out really, you know, differentiating and seeing the difference. So let's go ahead and now we should save that as a still. So that is saved and I'm just going to call it Skyfall. So again, the beauty about this is like, now this is our grade that we can use in the future on any projects, right? And if somebody says, well, what if I'm using a different camera? Well, then you go here and it's pretty simple. You just change the top to input color space, input gamma, and you're ready to go. Okay, the rest can stay the same. So now what I want to do, I'm going to go back in this node, buy ourselves some real estate, open the gallery, back to movies, and this time we want to create this right here, John Wick look. Okay, so for this one, again, I'm going to focus mostly on my offsets to get this look going. Okay, and what I'm seeing here is that, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not the biggest fan of like this weird gunky green that's coming through. I feel like that just kind of makes it look weird and artificial. I like the red. So I'm going after the red, okay? Because when you're trying to mimic certain looks, and when you're trying to recreate a look, you don't have to be blind. You don't have to just go, I'm going to do every single thing that they did, okay? Because that is just being a copycat. You're cheating 100%. It's more about like capturing the feel. Like I want to capture that essence, that color palette. I like that color palette. I want to bring that in, but throw my own flair on it. That's always the point. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under my printer lights. You guys know how it works. And again, if you guys are confused, check out other videos, or more importantly, watch the free training, and I take you through all of this in detail. So my printer light hotkeys are turned on, and I'm going to be using my full printer lights right here. So what do we need to do? Obviously, we need to add a lot more red. So I'm going to go under my red, and I'm going to start adding red. So as soon as I start doing that, like right now, I'm just eyeballing it and kind of seeing what is happening. Am I getting where I need to be? And this is a lot, like we're adding a ton of red, okay? So if I park right here and if I look at the two, so this is what we had before, the Skyfall look. This is our John Wick look. And now obviously with the blacks, we're looking at the blacks, like blacks are like really pulled down here. So we can go under, we can do a couple of things. We can go under our lift and pull it down and just be kind of aggressive with it to just kind of create like the thing that's happening there, right? And then even if I go to my last frame, it's kind of a similar thing. Another thing that we can do is balance out our blacks a little bit better, because the blacks are kind of just balanced out a bit better here. So what I would do is pull down my, see what I'm doing? Like I'm just adding a little bit more cyan in my blacks, just a little bit. And then what I can do is add just a little bit of magenta, because that's what's going to keep this red going in my shot. And then pull my, just bring down add a little bit more cyan in there overall. And now if I bring it back and park it somewhere around here, so the blacks are somewhat looking proper and they're not contaminated with the red. And we can even see it in the scopes that it's looking pretty good. And overall, the flames, I feel like in our shot look better than these like little gunky yellow that we got going on here. So I like my flames better. My red is very close to the red that's happening here, because obviously if I go back and show you the Skyfall look, completely different look. And then not to mention, what we can do is I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go here and paste it. And let's change this to Gamma 2.4. So now this is our basically reference to Gamma, like the actual Rec 709. So this is Rec 709. This is our Skyfall look, and then this is our John Wick look. And I gotta be honest, I mean, you know, doing a little bit of a jiggery pokery with our lift and dialing in the contrast, the John Wick look is looking pretty good. I mean, look at it, right? Like even here or here, it's looking pretty good. Once again, we're just focusing on the overall essence and not necessarily like crazy one-to-one, because this is stylized and obviously there's a lot of color here, and then there's a vignette, and then they're controlling the rest of the color to just add a bit more neutral blacks, if you will. Okay, so this is where we are right now. And what I would do is I would save that version. I'm good. I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to grab that still, and then that is my John Wick. Okay. All right. So now moving on to our final look, which is from 1917. This guy right here, very different than what we just created. So I'm going to go ahead, create a new version. And at this point, what we want to do is probably reset this completely. Okay. Let's buy some real estate. And the reason why I did that is because the highlights are sort of like blown out, right, in the reference shot. So obviously I'm going to go under my gain. I'm going to still pull it down a little bit just to kind of have some control there. So even something like that, right? And at this point, I know that my contrast is pretty strong here, right? So I can do it a couple of different ways, but let's just grab our lift and pull it down and just kind of keep it keep it pretty strong, something like that. And then take our gain and lift it up a little bit, not too much. So somewhere around here, like right on the cusp. Something like that. And at this point, I think I'm good with the exposure. Again, we're not going for a one-to-one match because completely different environment. The whole building is on fire. Here, there's a fire around the entertainment center and behind these chairs. So completely different. But now let's start dialing in the colors by using our offsets. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is there's a couple of ways that you can actually do this. You can just grab your offset and start moving it around and see what's really happening, right? Like we can just start moving it around and kind of go, where do we feel like it's close to where we want to be? And if I say somewhere around here, you might say, well, it's still kind of off, which you're right. What needs to happen is this. I'm going to create a new layer. What we need to do is, I'm going to pull this up. We need to go under our hue versus luminance, and I need to pull some of the saturation out of like highlighted areas. So when I grab this and pull this down, look what happens. So a lot of this look is going to come from that, okay? And now if I go back and if I do before and after, you see the difference that it's making. It's cleaning up like the highlights, right? Now I'm going to go back in here and I just feel like, what do we need to do? Like, do we need to add a little bit more warmth in our shot, or are we actually looking good? Because I'm looking at this area to there and I feel like we have a little bit of green and they have a little bit more actual warmth, like red, if you will. So then I can just go back in my offsets and kind of start pulling it up just a little bit, right? Like put it somewhere around here. I mean, this is pretty close, right? Like this is pretty close. Obviously, we're going for that sort of silhouette look. So we just like really took a lot of midtones, you know, down quite a bit. Like even this area right here, it's pulled down quite a bit. Goes well with the scopes, like when we look at the two. But so if we do something like this and we're like, how does it feel? Feels pretty good, right? Because look at the highlights, like that character that we added, and the rest of the image looks pretty good. Because if I go and show you this to this, like this is our Skyfall, this is our John Wick, and then this is our 1917, right? So I'm going to go ahead and save this as well. Now, one thing that I do want to do, I'm just going to call it 1917. One thing that I want to do is I kind of want to revisit my Skyfall grade. And I want to go back to movies and pull up Skyfall right here. Because I want to kind of make sure that it is good. So I just wanted to make sure that my contrast was matching what's happening here. And it is, right? Because it's kind of breathing. And so as like, look at it, right? Like it is very similar. So guys, you saw like how different these three looks are, right? So what we can do at this point is I can grab these two, go under my still images and change it to still grades. And the beauty of that is I'm going to right click and hide this outline. Now the beauty of this is, let's kill this, make it full screen, that we can play all three grades that we created. So you can really see it in effect. Okay. How cool is that? Skyfall, John Wick, 1917, so different. Like look at how clean the blacks are here, how everything is looking here compared to how everything is here. Blacks are still kind of proper. Here, we're just like kind of letting it happen. The smoke or the flames look so good in all three. Nothing is blown out. And pulling down the saturation on the highlights really sold the effect for the 1917. So those are the calls that you have to make. But overall, if I park it right here and just look at it, look at the personality, look at the difference between the three and how cool they are. They're all highly stylized, but beautiful, right? So remember like the little gunk that we didn't like in the John Wick, we ditched it and we just went with what felt right in our scene. And these are the calls that you have to make. So hopefully you like what you saw here. Let's check out the final look in full screen. So watching something like this, you're probably going, well, Qazi, I'm not going to be dealing with this type of footage ever in life. That wasn't the idea, right? Like the whole point behind this tutorial is to understand the logic, the thought process, you know, how a pro colorist would approach certain scenes. And especially if you're asked to create something like, okay, give me a 1917 look, give me a John Wick look in this specific scene from that movie. And if you get the mood boards or something like that, you will know exactly the why behind the how and the step-by-step process to get there, okay, in the most efficient way possible. So guys, once again, if you guys had any questions watching the tutorial, you know, why did I use my grain as the first node or anything like that, or CST as my last node, then make sure if you want to deep dive, check out the free training. Link is going to be in the description. It's absolutely free. It comes with tons of goodies. So it's an absolute win-win. If you have any tutorial suggestions, drop a comment below. And on that note, please do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel for more awesomeness. And remember, stay possessed. I will see you guys in the next video.